just open first with a song. I'm very proud to honor Mr. Bob Dylan, and this is a version of a song that everybody knows. I retitled it called "The Climate Here Is A-Changing." Come gather round, commissioners, from under your stones, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you'd better start swimming or your lives will be blown, 'cause the climate here is a-changing. Come Duke and Dominion who live by the wind, and keep your eyes wide, your chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel still spins, and there's no telling who it's naming. For us losers now are planning to win, 'cause the climate here is a-changing. Come deniers and liars throughout the land, and don't criticize what you don't understand. Scientists and youth are beyond your command. Your empire's rapidly burning. Please get out of the way if you can lend a hand, 'cause the climate here is a-changing. Come regulators, commissioners, and please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorways and don't build a wall. For those who fall down will be those who stall. And there's a storm outside and it's raging. It will shake your windows and rattle your halls, 'cause the climate here is a-changing. The line it is drawn, and the curse it is cast. Us slow ones now will later be fast, and as the present now will soon be past. Fossil fuels are rapidly fading, and you in command will soon be the last, 'cause the times they are changing. Thank you, Mr. Bob Dylan, and thank you all. Okay, so
Closer to your lips.
closer to my lips. I'm going to call the speakers up here, and I'm going to have to be kind of tough because we have 3 minutes each, and we want to get into the door and sign up so we can actually be part of the hearing. So I have this 1-minute sign, and I will be holding it up after you talk 2 minutes. Okay, agreed, everybody? Yes. All right. So first speaker is Mark Mercopoulos, the Orange County Commissioner. Sir.
Good evening, folks. I'm going to read a letter that I sent out a couple weeks ago to elected officials across North Carolina. We got 40 signatures of county commissioners, council members, mayors, and other elected officials. And here's what the letter read. The undersigned local government officials urgently call for you to help us do our part to slow climate change and expand renewable energy. The science is clear. Humanity has very little time to avert irreversible climate catastrophe. The UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reported in October that we must cut annual global greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030. Prominent scientists say this means that emissions must peak and start downward by 2020. Instead, U.S. carbon dioxide emissions increased 3.4% in 2018. Even worse is the super potent methane being leaked from natural gas operations. We have no time to waste on the kind of business-as-usual 15-year integrated resource plan that Duke Energy is asking you to approve. Duke's plan foresees only 8% renewable energy in 2033, calls for the equivalent of 24 new large plants burning frack gas, and would necessitate repeated rate hikes. It is our duty and yours as public servants to do everything in our power to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, demanding more from you. Reduce greenhouse gas emissions immediately and keep electricity affordable. Other states are already demanding more from their utilities. Virginia recently rejected Dominion Resources IRP. The California Utilities Commission rejected proposals for new natural gas burning power plants in favor of cheaper solar plus storage options. We call on you to reject Duke Energy's IRP as proposed and demand that it be revised to reflect actual trends in the energy industry, which are racing toward clean, cheap, reliable renewables and storage, and away from the fossil fuels that are badly disrupting our climate. Thank you.
Okay, is Dale Everts here? He is next. All right, take it away.
Thank you, Kendall. Good afternoon. I was born and raised here in North Carolina, and I've spent most of my adult life here. Until recently, I led the Climate and International Group at the Environmental Protection Agency out here in the Research Triangle Park. We analyze the impacts of climate change on air quality and work to reduce air pollution and climate change both in the U.S. and globally. In their proposed plans, Duke Energy wants to greatly increase its use of natural gas, which is mostly methane. Let me tell you about methane. It's 100 times more effective than carbon dioxide in trapping heat in the atmosphere. It also contributes to ozone smog, a pollutant that affects lung development in children, as well as people with asthma and other lung diseases. Ozone also damages food crops such as corn, soybeans, and wheat. If there's any good news about methane, it's that it lasts only about a decade or so in the atmosphere, compared to a century or more for carbon dioxide. So reducing methane emissions means less heat trapped now, not decades from now, and less ozone smog to affect our health and agriculture. This is important. Reducing methane emissions means healthier air for us and our children, and less of this very potent heat-trapping gas in the air where it fuels the more intense and wetter hurricanes, severe weather, and coastal flooding that is costing our state billions of dollars. Methane is released from oil and gas operations, including hydraulic fracking, and from the transport of natural gas via pipelines. The cheapest way to reduce methane from these sources is to reduce the demand for natural gas. This is the opposite of what Duke Energy is proposing. Please join me to insist that Duke Energy takes seriously their fiscal and moral obligation to the people of North Carolina, help them join with other leading utilities and states around the U.S. who are taking bold steps to expand renewable energy, help save North Carolinians billions of dollars in the coming decades, both in terms of the cost of electricity and the avoided costs of damaging climate change and air pollution. Send Duke Energy's IRP back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Donna Chavis from Friends of the Earth. She's here, I know.
Yeah,
Where she is. All right. 3 minutes.
I know, and I counted myself earlier. Good day. I am Donna Chavis, a native-born Lumbee from Pembroke. Sorry.
You got to kiss it right.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Start timing now. I am Donna Chavis, a native-born Lumbee from Pembroke, Robeson County, North Carolina. One of the counties with the largest impact from the proposed Atlantic Coast Pipeline and home to the largest tribe east of the Mississippi. I am currently consulting with Friends of the Earth as the ACP lead campaigner. I was once taught that at its core, marketing purpose is to convince you that there is a need for something that you don't really need. From 2014 to the present, Duke and Dominion Energies have been in the marketing business of convincing the public, regulators, and elected officials that both the proposed pipeline and the Mountain Valley Pipeline Southgate are necessary project investments. The companies have predicted a growth in demand for its product, natural gas, that requires more delivery systems along the proposed routes. Growth of the economy through more jobs has been their steady mantra, especially in the counties with the greatest impact. And yet the facts do not support the marketing. A release report, The Vanishing Need for the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, makes the case that the argument by these utilities that they need new natural gas pipeline capacity has been significantly weakened since the ACP was first proposed. Both Duke and Dominion have a history of overstating electricity demand forecast. In Dominion's most recent long-term integrated resource plan, IRP, 4 out of 5 model scenarios show no increase in natural gas consumption. From 2019 through 2033. Dominion's 2018 IRP was rejected by Virginia state regulators, in part for overstating projections of future electricity demand. This implies that future natural gas consumption will likely be even less than forecast in the IRP. The most recent IRPs of Duke Energy Progress and Duke Energy Carolinas show that previously planned natural gas plants have been delayed further into the future. Moreover, over the next decade, it is likely that the demand for natural gas in Virginia and North Carolina will decrease further as renewable energy and storage technologies continue to rapidly decline in price. It appears likely that the need that these utilities have claimed for the pipeline is overstated. Does that mean that state regulators may agree to saddle customers with the full cost of paying for a pipeline that is not needed by approving the IRPs? I hope not, because under law, General Statute 62-2, among other things, it is the responsibility of the North Carolina Utilities Commission to, 1, assure that facilities necessary to meet future growth can be financed on reasonable and fair terms, and promote the development of renewable energy and energy efficiency. That is law. We urge members of the North Carolina Utility Commission to not fall victim of the illusory truth effect, in which if something is said enough times, it is taken as truth. A marketing tool that has been used frequently by Duke and Dominion Energies. Instead, heed the wisdom of John Adams, the second President of the United States. I have to say this quote because it's so meaningful in this context. Facts are stubborn things. Remember, this is John Adams, second president. Facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. Follow the facts, follow the evidence. You must not accept the 2018 RIPs put forth today by Duke Energies and Dominion Energies, North Carolina. Thank you.
Okay, Tom Clark from Apple. Tom? That's Tom.
Well, Miss Donna just took my fire, but I got to back up. Duke Energy,
Closer, Tom.
Duke Energy in its IRP is stating that they will reduce carbon emissions. I only have one problem with that statement. How can you reduce the amount of carbon emissions when you have planned to build a 36-inch pipeline with 1.5 billion cubic feet of fracked gas flowing through it each day? Natural gas is a methane, and a lot of it is leaked or intentionally vented at many points from well to power plants. Since methane is 100 times more potent than CO2, I don't understand I'll get it right in a minute. I don't understand carbon emissions when you have planned. No, that's a repeat. This is embarrassing.
You got this. Woo. You got it.
A lot of it is locked or intentionally. That's a repeat.
Just say what you know.
Duke's statement about reducing carbon, to me, that seems to be a false statement. I don't know about the panel, but when I was in school and you gave a false statement, a false answer on the test, you failed that test. For that reason, I asked the panel to reject Duke Energy's IRP.
All right, thank you, Tom. read those papers, you knew it all. We all knew it. Lily Levin from the Triangle People's Power. Our young person here representing youth in the Triangle area.
Hey guys, so as you mentioned, I am from Triangle People Power, which is a youth grassroots organization based on the ACLU's agenda. We do a lot of multi-issue advocacy work, and part of that is environmental justice. So I'm going to talk about Duke's regulations right now. So the Charlotte Business Journal states that Mid-American Energy has goals for 48% renewable energy in 2016. San Diego Gas and Electric met their goals of 43% renewable energy in 2016. Duke Energy has an abysmal 3% renewable energy in 2018. Moreover, Stanford University has a projected goal of 100% renewable energy by 2021. California State has a projected goal of 50% renewable energy by 2025, but Duke has 8% projected goal of renewable energy by 2033. Now I could just stand here and I could state all the statistics, but you already kind of know them. So they've been stated before in the past. For 40 years, climate scientists have been telling our politicians that enough is enough, that this is urgent, that we need to take action now, but our politicians haven't been listening. Our Americans agree that we need to take action on this, but those in government do not listen. So I'll just tell some stories. The man who spoke before me, Tom Clark, is an amazing, wonderful person who had his property impacted by the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. I know so many people, especially in low-income communities of color, who have been affected, who had their properties and homes and lives destroyed by the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, by natural gas coming in to their communities rather than renewable energy, which supplies jobs and is way more cost-effective and effective long-term. We are grassroots activists. We're here spending tireless hours fighting for what we believe in. So if anything, don't listen to me, listen to the people who are out there fighting in those frontline communities, fighting for what is right, fighting for what is affecting them every single day. We are running out of time, but more importantly, Duke Energy is running out of time. It is running out of time to lie to us, to state these false statistics about what is going on, because we will not let Duke Energy get away with this. We will not let them have this proposed IRP. Thank you.
Okay, let's see, Mr. Jerome Wagner from 350.
Thank you, Kendall. In case she didn't mention it, this is Kendall Hale, who came from Asheville. Thanks to her for emceeing. All right, so as Kendall mentioned, I'm with 350. I'm currently leading a group over in Charlotte. And I recognize also Karen Bearden, who organizes for 350 here in the Triangle area. I'm glad to be here with these other activists, and glad also to be involved in speaking about this IRP. For those who are not aware, 350 basically operates at the grassroots, but we are involved in campaigns like divestment, renewable energy, and so forth. All right, so we will be strongly advising that the IRP be rejected for many of the same reasons that have been stated already. So I hopefully won't reiterate too much. I'll just throw out some sort of sound bites. In a sense, Duke proposing to build out additional natural gas facilities at this time is simply throwing gas on the climate crisis. That's meant to be, okay, that's something we shouldn't be doing, okay? It's the opposite of what we need to be doing. The prospect out in 2033 of continued natural gas use, but also coal use, is completely unacceptable. It makes no sense at all, from what we know about and where we need to be, that they should propose in what they might think is good faith to allow that to occur. I'll make the opinion that the inclusion also out to 2033 of nuclear energy. The existing fleet, which by that time will be aged up to 60 or more years, is a Trojan horse. One which, if nothing else, at least is forestalling or delaying the further investment in renewable energy resources. And I think that that is also unconscionable. Lily already mentioned the renewable energy portfolio standards and percentages and so forth, and I would echo there as well. According to a report from November of 2018, North Carolina is like in the next to last slot nationally for renewable performance standards. And that again is backwards, unnecessary, and simply not protective of the public welfare. Thank you. Okay. Given Duke's position as one of the largest for-profit energy suppliers in the world, their failure to take the climate crisis for real and to address it with appropriate vision and urgency is a significant failure of leadership. This is compounded by the lack of effective oversight and regulation of Duke's carbon emissions. Together, these market and regulatory failures pose a threat to the continued reliance on the free market to address our energy supply and to protect the public interest. And in closing, in 2033, my 4 grandsons will, God willing, still be working through their college years. The acronym IRP could just as well be reshuffled to IRP to RIP. Rest in peace. Rest in peace for those grandsons and their generation. Rest in peace for the prospects that we ought to bless them with now. Rest in peace. That is not an allowable outcome. Thank you.
We're moving along. June Blotnick. Is she here? There you are. Okay, thank you so much.
Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Can you hear me? Thank you all for coming out. Thanks to Kendall for organizing and Steve. I'm June Blotnick. I'm the director of Clean Air Carolina, and I wanted to say a few words about injustice. Everyone deserves to breathe clean, healthy air. We know dirty energy causes dirty air, and we know we can meet our energy needs with clean, renewable energy. Where's the injustice? Here's the injustice. It's unjust for North Carolinians to have no choice in their electricity provider who doesn't care about least cost for their customers, but most cost for their shareholders. Duke has a business model which heavily invests in fossil fuels, which we all know fuels climate change. Last year, North Carolinians experienced 2 500-year floods, especially in the eastern part of the state, many low-income communities, communities of color. That's unjust. Where's the injustice? Here's the injustice. Those who suffered most from these floods are least able to pay for the cleanup, for their property, and the least able to endure future rate hikes that come from Duke's investment in fossil fuels. Where's the injustice? Here's the injustice. To add insult to injury, Duke is asking the Utilities Commission to charge customers for the damages to the grid caused by their faulty business model, just like they're making ratepayers pay for the toxic coal ash that they've invested in for decades and decades. It was their choice to invest in dirty energy. Everyone deserves to breathe clean air, and we know we have the solutions with clean renewable energy. Solar energy now. Solar energy now. Solar energy now. Solar energy now.
Thank you. Rousing energy here. Okay, Amanda Robertson from the North Carolina Climate Solutions Coalition. Here you go.
Well, thank you. Thanks everybody for coming out. I tell you, is this good right here? We're going to share a lot of germs, all the speakers tonight. Hope it goes well. So North Carolina Climate Solutions Coalition is a coalition of a lot of organizations across the state of North Carolina and even beyond. We've got some new members, Lighthouse in Lynchburg, that works to help with affordable housing, putting solar on affordable housing and building structures that are going to withstand crazy hurricanes coming up in the future. Sunrise Movement is now a coalition member of our group, but a lot of the folks here that have already spoken are also coalition members with us, and I think that just means that we all work in partnership trying to solve the same problem, and that is to save the future from out of control climate change and eliminate fossil fuels, as Joan was just talking about. That really, if you're looking around at polluted air, anywhere you go, that's caused from fossil fuels. That's it. You look at and you break that down, and that's where it's coming from. We've got to stop this. This meeting today, this hearing by the North Carolina Utilities Commission on the IRPs from Duke Energy and Dominion Energy. In my opinion, this is the single most important public hearing they have ever held. And I don't know if they know that. But what's going to happen is they're going to make a decision one way or another. They're going to decide whether they're going to ruin the planet, because Duke Energy is the single largest energy company in the United States of America, and by very many measures, they're also the largest in the world. They are huge, and they're based right here. So our Utilities Commission has the power in their hands to impact the entire world with this decision today. And everybody that's spoken and everybody here knows what that decision means. It means marrying us with a frack gas methane future beyond 2033 that's going to go on 30 years after they continue to develop this through 2033. All bets are off that way. We don't have it. We got the IPCC report came out in October, and we all know that even after that came out with the dire warning it was, we learned, 5 days later, that the oceans really are a lot warmer than their report identified, because they finished their report many months earlier, and it's gotten worse since then. It's very scary. We may only have 5 years to turn this around before we hit 1.5, and then really all bets are off. So it's what our executive director of NC Climate Solutions said to me today. It's akin to them having Duke Energy come to them and saying, hey, we want to set off an atomic bomb in the state of North Carolina. Is that okay with you? And NC Utilities Commission just says, sure, set off an atomic bomb in our state. Do you think they're going to do that? I really hope not. I really hope not. I've been to several of these meetings, though, and sometimes I swear they're just not listening to us. But let's make sure they listen to us today. And if they don't, we will not stop fighting. We will keep on going until we stop the pipeline and we stop Duke Energy.
Bravo. Okay, Kathy Buckley from Climate Reality Leader. Here you go. Thank you. Thanks, Kendall.
My name is Kathy Ann Buckley, and I'm a climate reality leader. And I'm happy to say so is Amanda. And there's a new training, by the way, in Atlanta next month. You have until Thursday to apply for it. If you haven't taken the training, it's good, and it's also free. At a conference at Duke University last year, an attendee who was a former staffer in the Attorney General's office stated that Duke Energy is not primarily an energy company, but a construction company. Whatever they build, they are guaranteed a very handsome profit. If they produced energy as responsibly, effectively, and efficiently as possible, they would build less and not make as much money. As their job is to enrich their shareholders, their plan is to build. And their plan for us? Pay. The mandate of the North Carolina Utilities Commission is to do what's right for the businesses and residents, all the ratepayers of North Carolina. In this case, what is best for ratepayers' wallets also happens to be what's best for future generations. When the American colonists declared independence from Great Britain, they were doing something unheard of. No other colony had ever told their king, "Thanks so much, but we'll be heading in a new direction now." And so was fired the shot heard round the world. The North Carolina Utilities Commission regulates the most powerful utility in the United States, the King George of utilities. The United States is the most powerful nation on planet Earth. May the commissioners realize their power and their position in history and call forth their courage to do what's right. Pray that they say to powerful Duke Energy, thanks so much, but we'll be heading in a new direction now. May they issue the finding heard round the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's see, Lou Zeller from Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League. Lou, are you here? Lou isn't here. Oh, okay, well, sorry about that, but maybe he's still on his way. Maybe he'll get inside the hearing. So, Avram Friedman from Canary Coalition.
Thank you to all those who helped organize this gathering, all those who have, over the years, you hear me?
Yes, that's better.
All those who, over the years, have refused to despair and surrender in this power struggle for the survival of humanity, and that's what it is. It's a power struggle. Another year and another meaningless business as usual Duke Energy Integrated Resource Plan. This decades-long continuum of inaction, of ignoring science, of putting profit over common sense, of utter short-sightedness and denial, is a product of, as Martin Luther King Jr. characterized it, the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Year after year, we've seen the North Carolina Utilities Commission blindly accept whatever Duke Energy and Dominion Power has to offer without a second thought to their responsibility to safeguard the public interest. We've seen the majority of both parties in the North Carolina General Assembly shrug their collective shoulders at the inaction of the Utilities Commission as the nuclear time bomb of the climate crisis ticks on. We've seen governors, both Democratic and Republican, shirk their responsibility, failing to stand up and challenge the building of more fossil fuel infrastructure, failing to lead the charge to a rapid transformation to energy efficiency and clean, safe, renewable energy, options that are abundant in North Carolina, from the wind, waves, and tides of the coast to the sunshine, low-level geothermal and micro-hydro energy available in the Piedmont and mountains. And even some members of the environmental activist community share responsibility for allowing ourselves to be lured into taking the tranquilizing drug of gradualism, thereby failing to convey the urgency of climate change to our political leaders, to the regulatory agencies, to the news media, and to Duke Energy. But no more. I think, I hope, and I pray that we are past the notion of gradualism and that we can unite around the message of urgency delivered by the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change last year that leaves no room for incrementalism, making it clear that we have a short window of opportunity, perhaps a decade, to make dramatic changes to avoid the worst consequences. I pray that we can unite around the concept of a new Green Deal that will address climate change on the level of a war of survival as it ushers in a new era of prosperity based on economic and environmental justice, creating millions of living wage jobs to actuate the renewable revolution. That's the message we have to deliver tonight. Thank you.
I believe that's all of the speakers, and I would like to ask all the speakers to please come up here because we want to use the remainder of this time to speak to the media. And I'd like to point out to the media and to all of you exactly what many speakers have said. We have the organizations right here. We have the makings of a coalition that can get behind something like a Green New Deal, and that is the only way we are going to stop climate change and transition to an economy that's based on social justice and renewable energy. So please, speakers, come forward. We'd like that message to get clearly addressed and communicated to the media. Thank you. Yeah, please, media, come and ask questions of the speakers so you can spend the remainder of our time here before we have to sign up.
Yeah, go ahead. What do we need? Renewable energy. What do we need to know?
All right, y'all, before we wrap up, we're going to do a quick chant. So when I say solar, what do we need? Solar. When do we need it? Now. What do we need? Solar. When do we need it? Now. What do we need? Solar. When do we need it? Now. Woo!
That's kind of the problem here, isn't it?
Any speakers who haven't come up, please come up, and media, come ask them questions. I'm sure there's more sound bites you need, more pictures perhaps. And MC Warren is here. They didn't get to speak, but MC Warren is clearly represented as a key organization here in our state, a leader in all respects.
Hi folks, I don't know that it got clear to a lot of people, but the fact is that Duke Energy is not only blocking the growth of solar, they're blocking open debate. NC Warren has a motion pending before this commission that you're going to speak tonight to hold an open evidentiary hearing, which they do in most states. They require it. And Duke is fighting against them holding a hearing. We want to bring our experts in and have Duke's people be cross-examined under oath about their IRP. So if you get a chance to tell them, they need to hold an evidentiary hearing, and all the other interveners in the case need to be backing that call. Duke Energy is trying to block consideration of NC Warren's Clean Path 2025 plan. They've been blocking it for a year and a half now, and this commission needs to open it up, and let's talk about renewables that are cheaper with storage, better way to go. Thanks.